see. I think if that's work. Okay. Okay, so in episode number 6, we were saying that now we have like mastered variables, loops, and powerful data structures like lists and dictionaries. Now our code is getting longer and more complex. It's time to introduce one of the most important concepts in programming, functions. And in programming, there is a golden rule, which we can call dry. Don't repeat yourself. If you find yourself copying and pasting the same block of code over and over, you need a function. A function is a reusable block of code that only runs when it is called. When it is called like. So now what is a like basic thing? Okay. So now what is a basic thing? The basic thing is that stop wasting your time on like repeat like copy pasting the same code again and again that you want to run in your program. Instead of doing that, we can use functions. Have you got the point here? Okay, how there are two ways. Have you got the point? Aves and Priyanshu. Okay, nice. Okay, all right. So let's see how we can define and calling a function. So like give me a second. Let me just bring my mouse. Okay, so I'm back. Let me plug in. Let me plug in. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do? Let me open one note. Okay. And here what I'm gonna open. Here is our quick labs. Okay, nice. I'm getting in. Let me sign in into our quick labs. Let me just give it a simple name and let me just okay. So this is our so for the reminder, if you don't know about this is our like you can say a quick labs where you can practice your code and we can like do it together for better understanding. Okay. So now let's see how we can define and call a function. Okay. So when you want to create a function, let me just create a new section here and let me just select the draw thing. Okay. So this, you can say this is our episode number 6. Episode number 6. Okay. And what is our mission? Before starting anything, we define our mission. Our mission is to define and the same thing is and call the function. So let me just call the function. Okay. So our first mission is to define and call the function. So now when you want to create a function in Python, we use the def keyword. This thing, okay? We use it and we can follow by the function name, whatever we want to name it, will be the parentheses and a colon. Okay. The code inside the function must be indented. Okay. Means that you have to follow the indentation, which means you have to give white space as we did in our if else statements, if you remember. So now how we can create a function? For example, let me just see this example that I have put in this document, which is we want to create a function which would create the community. Okay, like for example, you want to welcome someone in our new community now, so we can use this thing. Okay, so let me just create a function. And how we can create a function? Let me just close it. Okay, So now when we want to create a function, we can use our keyword def, and you can name the function anything based on your code, what you want to like write. For example, I have taken create community like this, and then we will follow the parenthesis here, and then we will put a colon, and we can write anything I want to write. I want to run anywhere in part of my program. For example, what will this function do? Print it will like print welcome to welcome to Kodi community. Like this is our community name for example. Okay, you can take it anything here. So now I have written here like Kodi community, and what else we can write? We can write print. We can write print. Let's learn together. Let's learn together. Okay. And to close a function, we can usually do nothing. Okay. So now our like function is made. Our function is now is made here. Let me write here. Our function. Our function is defined. Okay. So now when our function is defined, so now we cannot run it because we only did this. We only did that thing that we just created a function. When I want to write it, I usually need to do something. What I want to do something, for example, in a part of code where I want to run it. So I will write here. Let me just create here. Okay, I will write here. Create community. Create community. Okay, I just write it here as we did here. Okay, like this. And we can also run it based that how many times we want to run it. For example, we can do it twice. Let me write create community followed with parenthesis, and boom, we will see we will see these two statements when we will call our function. So let's do it practical. Okay. So what I can do, let me just go to my quick labs, and let me select a file. I think I need to. Okay, let me create a new file which I will name functions.py. Okay, like this. Okay, so let me just erase it, and let me just create community. Okay, and let me write all that thing. Uh, welcome to the community. Welcome to the community. Let's learn together. Okay. So now when we want to like run it, let me just write in comments. When we need to call a function, we can call it by doing this. I will simply write here create community. Okay, like this. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna save the file and I'm gonna run the file. Okay. So now when I will run my file, as you can see, when I call the function, we can see that our two print statements has been printed. This is great, right? So have you got the point? Yes. All right. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, that's good. Hmm. Okay. So now as we have seen here, we can actually our calling, or you can say executing the function, we can do it by this. And what about like running it twice? So I can do it multiple times, I'll save the file and then I'm gonna run the file, and as you can see, we have executed our function twice. So now what's next? Our next part is arguments and parameters. What are they? Let me just show you. Functions became truly powerful when we passed data into them. The variables listed inside the parentheses in the function definition are called parameters. The actual data you pass in when calling the function is called an argument. So now what we can actually say, what are, let me just parameters. Let me just discuss the parameter things in our code. So as you can see, let me just write here. Let me just create a new section. Let me just parameters. Okay, so let me just write our mission parameters. So now how we can like usually pass parameters. Parameters are basically you can say a type of data you can pass into an function within function, so they know like what exactly you are trying to call, what exactly you are trying to say, Okay, someone raised their hand. Let me see. Yes. Hey, Ali Raza, can you please tell me why you have raised your hand? Okay, so I was saying that why you have raised your hand. Um, you can ask the question in the chat, okay? Or no, sure, when you will ask, then we will see. So I was saying that what are actually parameters. So let me just close it, okay? So basically, parameters are data types. I mean, you can say with data that can be passed in a function. So we can say that what role you want to play using the functions. So now how we can do that, like, okay? Let me just go to my example. Hey, let me just see my example here. Our example is here. For example, we are saying that we want to create a function, create profile. So let's create it here practically. So now I will use the def keyword, and as I told you earlier, what does it represent? It's used for calling a function, okay? Calling a function. And for example, we want to create, for example, user profile, okay? And you want something like their username that you will pass in the function username, or you can say their age, okay? And their role, which is student, like with their role is student here, okay? So now let's close the parentheses, and here, what is the next thing? Our next thing is that, let me see. So now, okay. So we are gonna write this profile created. So what? So basically, we will discuss the formatting string later. I will explain the later. User profile created. User profile created. Let me just give a comma, and we can write here username. That is our variable that we passed, that a data that we pass during passing a function, okay? Making a function. And what about anything else that we can put in our function? We can also do age and we can also do role. So now let me write here. Okay. So now um our age was age, which is age, and let me give a comma again. Our role is our role is role. Okay. Here. So let me just close, and now our function has been defined. Function has been defined. Okay, as we have defined our function here. So let me just come here again, and now what are arguments? So as we have seen here, that what we actually want to pass to a function, these were called parameters. Okay, this username, this age, and this role that we want to pass within function were called parameters. And now what are arguments? What are like arguments? So now let me just write it here. For example, you want to pass something, you want to say that username, you want to specify something in the function, and you want to also specify the age, which is not written here. So now what we can do here, we can pass them. Okay. So now I will use something called, I will, let me just write here. I will create a new variable, or you can say create profile. So now, okay, so sorry, we will not be using create profile. The function name is user profile. Okay, I have taken a bit different. So now we will use user profile. We will open the parenthesis and we will writing here. We will be passing the username Ali. It would be Ali, and our age would be like 23. Okay. So now these are called arguments. Okay, I can use another color too. Let me see if I can do. Yeah, I can do. So let me just erase it, and I can write here in with green. So I can do something like colors, colorful thing. So now I can write here arguments. And what does argument means? Argument means the actual data, you want to pass to a function. Okay. These were the data types, and these are the actual data we are passing to the function will be called arguments. And now how we can call it, like how we can call it, as we can see, we can literally uh, so basically there, this is an argument, right? And we will call it like positional arguments, because we just use positional values. Okay, so now what are the keyword arguments? Keyword arguments are that you want to like specify that which which username or which variable you are passing a data, an actual data, which does not actually matter, or that does not matter. But in the positional arguments are the order should matter. Okay, like here. So now our order was like first of all, which was username. So we passed Ali, and the age was 23. So we passed like our age. Okay. So now in our in our keyword arguments, in our keyword arguments, we can specify that which data type we are actually referring to. So now I will write user profile, and I will be saying that age is like 25, and our username username is Ali. like this, and we close a parenthesis. So this is how our positional and keyword arguments work. So have you got the point? Okay, nice. So like any questions from someone? Hey, perfect. And what about Alcolo Loro? And what about Jadip Chauhan? What about you guys? Okay, so thinking that we are only five here. I don't know why. Where are the rest of the people? Maybe they are busy, or maybe they have like internet issues. Okay, so like there are no questions, right? You can just give a reaction to like tell that you don't have questions. Okay, so let's move to our chapter number three, which is return values. So now so far our functions have only printed text to the screen, right? As we did here, print. Okay. So now what are return values? So but usually we want a function to calculate something and give data back to the main program, so we can use it later. We do this using the return statement. Okay. So now for example you want to like make a function that returns a calculated value, and how we can do that. For example, we just create a new function. Let me just go to our board, and let me just create a new function. I mean, I can write return values. Okay, so now I've wrote it here. I'm gonna make it. Let me just.
Mhm.
Okay. So now, what is our mission here? I don't know why I write it, but yeah, it is my habit. Okay. Our mission to understand return values. Okay. So now actually how we can return. So first of all, let me just create a function. Let me just go down here, and let me just come here, and let me see what we can do. So the example is we can make calculate discount. Okay. So now let me just create a function which can calculate our discount. So now our let me just get a function, and anything you want to pass it. Yes, we need to pass two parameters. First is our price, and second is our discount percent. Okay. So now we need these values to be assigned. Discount percent, these are our two variables. Okay. Two data types like this, and let me just make a colon. And what else and what is our calculation? So now the discount amount which we want to see, discount amount is equal to price, the original price we are trying to write, multiply by discount percent, multiply by 100, like this. Okay. So now as you will be thinking here, oh, it is not multiply by 100, it is divided by 100. I need to change it. So let me just change it a little bit quick, and let me just write it here, division. Okay. Okay. So um, now you guys would be wondering that what is this thing? Like what we are supposed to do with this? So I just gave an example. I'm just telling you that how you can like actually calculate a discount on the price you're actually using, or you want a user to input a price, and the program will calculate the discount and everything we can say. So now actually what is our final price? So we also have to define the final price. So now how we can do that? Using our final logic, our final price would be our final price would be price subtracted by subtracted discount amount. Okay, like this. Okay, so this full stop is not here, so don't confuse it. Okay, I need to remove it. Yeah. Okay, good. And amount, this is u, this is t, and our function is now ready. Okay, yes, our function is now ready. So now how does our like that thing works about return? Okay, our how our return stuff works. Oh my god, I'm so bad at writing. Never mind. uh Let me just write how to return, as we need to do it in the function because we cannot do it in outside the function. So now when you want to return something, that what we can return in this, we can return the final price. Okay, we need to return the final price because when we will be running our function, we need the final price. Okay, we don't want this calculation, we only need our final price variable, our final price data. Okay, so now I will write here final price, and I will be using another thing. I will write here with blue because this is on me. Okay, so return, and this is in this function, so I think I need to rewrite it to maintain our indentation. So let me just remove it, and let me just follow the indentation. Our indentation is somewhere around here. Return what we want our program to return, our function to return, which would be our final price. Okay, here I have written. So now, as we can see, our function has been now been defined. And let me see another thing. So now, when we have returned, we need to call it, right? We need to store it somewhere, so we can like uh, so we can show it to the user that what is the final price. Okay. So now, how we can like store it? So now, for example, let me just write it here. Outside of this function, I need to write here. For example, we have like laptop price. Let me see the example. We have like laptop price, and let me just write it here. Laptop price is equal to calculate discount, which will be our function. And what we want to like, and what do we want to pass? So now let's talk about this. So now in the first, we pass some parameters, which were like our price is, for example, we can say 100, sorry, 1000. Okay, and what is our discount percent, which is like 15. So now I will like write it here in this form, and what I will do here, I will print our discount price. uh okay, so let me just move around. I think I need to like write it here. So now I can print our laptop price. So I can, our final price, is in string, which would be, let me just, okay, okay, let me just write it again. Let me just write it again. Okay, let me just write it again. Okay, I think I need to write it again. uh, There was not a mistake, so don't think I'm doing a mistake. So what I was supposed to write here, I need to write it here. So now our laptop price outside of this function here, laptop price, which would be our, let me just call the function, which would be calculate discount. If we calculate discount and our price is like 1000, and our discount in percent is 15. Okay. So now in the last, I will be printing our laptop price. The final price, the final price is laptop price. Laptop price here. So now this is how our functions works. Let me just specify everything. So now here what we did, if someone don't understand, we literally passed our variables, like our data to this parameters. The price was 100, right? So this would be our price variable, which would be stored in this variable. And what was our discount? Discount which we mentioned here was 15. So in like discount percent, which would be stored here. So now what would happen when we call this function in our function, this function would be start calculating the discount amount, then our final price, and when we will printing our final price, it would print our final price of our laptop using discount. Now this is how our like this thing works. So have you got the point? Okay. Do you have like any questions here? I think you may have some questions because this topic was like so complex. Okay. And what about perfect, Jaydeep, Alpololo, and Subham Patel? Oh, okay. Let me. Okay, so there are no questions. So now what we can do here, we can write our program here. Okay. So now, so like in this class, we will be we started our functions topic. Let me just open it again. We did how to define and call a function, and in chapter number 2 we did arguments and parameters, and in chapter number 3 we are doing this return values. Okay, so now this was the thing that I explained whole in this class. Okay. Okay, so let's start, and let's run our whole code that I've explained right now. So let me just write it here, and let me remove this because you guys were saying that you don't know about formatted string. So I can write it here, okay? So you don't have to worry. I will write in simple terms. I'll write in, I'll write, okay, I think it is glitched. I'll let, oh, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, now it's working. So now our final thing, laptop final price is, laptop final price is our laptop price, like this. And I will close it, save our file, run the file, and as you can see, our final price with a 15% of discount would be 850. This is how our function works. Let me just repeat it again. We did our return. We like when we did our function, we wanted to like return something. So our function return the final price, which we will be using to calculate the value of anything you want to see. And here we did our parameters, that when user will type something in our function, it would be assigning this price and will this discount. Okay, so according to that we will run our program and we will get our discounted price. So now have you got it? Okay, nice. Perfect is also doing some. Yes, nice. Thank you. Okay, so the rest of these guys are not active. I don't know why. So let me just continue. Let me. So now let's move towards chapter number 4, which is variable scope, local versus global. So this topic is kind of, you can say, it's like easy on it. Okay, so this does not contain any type of rocket science. So you don't have to worry about that. So now let's understand what is local, what is a local variable, and what is a global variable. So now there is a difference. Not all variables are accessible everywhere in your code. So the scope determines where a variable can be seen and used. So now what is a global variable? Global variables, as you can say, it is an variables created outside the function. They can be read from anywhere in the file. It can be used, it can be read, it can be modified. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so now for example, let's take this variable. This variable was taken. Let me just write it again. This variable was made outside of function. So it can be used like everywhere. Okay, it can be used, it can be read, change, use, allowed. Okay, it can be used. So now this is our what what we can call it. So now this is our global variable. This is our global variable. And what about the local one? Let me go back and let me see about local scope. So basically, local variable is type of a variable that is created inside a function. They only exist where while a function is running and are destroyed when the function finishes. So it means that this variable is only accessible in the function. It cannot be used, it cannot be read outside. Okay, it cannot be used anywhere else except of the dedicated function the variable is present. This is the best. These are the best examples I can give. This and this. These two variables are local. Okay, these two variables are local. So that's why they can only be used inside the function. They can only be used inside the functions and are not accessible outside of function. Okay, okay. No issue, no issue. Just tell me that have you got this point of local and global variables? Great, great, great. Okay, nice, nice, nice. Okay, so let me just review it again. So what we were doing exactly. So I think I need to like move from the start. In the start, we learned how we can, what is a function and how we can define and call it. And in chapter number 2, we did arguments and parameters. What are parameters? Parameters are like the data variables, that data types we are passing to a function. And what are arguments? Arguments are the values that we are passing to the dedicated variables, which were parameters. Okay. And in the chapter number 3, we did return values, which were that if we want our function to return something back to the main program, then we can use our return function, and we have also did this did that example. Okay, and chapter number 4, as we did now, which is variable scope, local versus global. So now, have you got this? Because the I am recording the lecture, so you don't have to worry. You will be seeing you can see the recording in our in our YouTube channel. Let me just show you. Okay, so now this is our YouTube channel. Okay, uh, we we just uploaded of first, second, third, and fourth, and today we will be uploading of chapter we will be like uploading of both episode number 5 and 6. And remember, this is episode number 6. Okay, remember this point. So now we have also given an example here that we can use in our. Let me just run it. Let me just copy paste and let me just write here. Okay. So let me just explain this code step by step. What is a global var? Global variable means that it can be used anywhere, it can be read anywhere. And these and this one and this local var where can be or can only be used in the function because it is made inside the function. This is the practical example and the best example I can give. Okay. So now for confirmation, as you were saying that we want to test that if that works. So let me just show you. Okay. So let me just save the file. Our file is now saved and let me just run. Okay. So now as you can see, our local var, which contains this, and our global var, which contains this, also exists. Okay. So now what if I try to run this local var, which is only contained in this function? It is not outside of the function. So now let me just remove this. Okay, let me just run it. Print local var. Let me just save the file and let me just try to run. And as you can see, we have got an error. Why? Because the local var does not exist outside the function. When the function will be running, only it will be used only in the function, and when the function will complete, the function will stop processing, this variable, local variable, will be destroyed. And this global variable, which is outside of that function, can be used inside the function and outside the function as well. But on the other hand, the variable made in this function cannot be used outside of it. So this is the basic thing I can tell you. So, okay, no issue. Perfect. Okay. So have you got the point? Nice. What about Subham and what about Jaydev and what about Alucard? Okay. So let's begin to our next chapter. What is our next chapter? Our next chapter is practical examples. So like this, how we can do this? So now our task. Okay, this is very complex. I think I need to prepare for it. Let me just remove it and how I can delete this. Okay, like no it's oh wow. Okay, let me just remove it again. Okay, so now our chapter number 5 of this session is practical examples. So now we are going to make a shopping cart processor, which is our task, and we need to build a modular system that takes a list of item prices, adds them up, applies a global tax rate, and formats the final receipt. So now how we can do that? I think we need to do it. Okay. Um. Okay. 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 Let me just prepare myself. Okay. Okay, so my mouse is now ready. And let me just create a new thing. I will name it episode number 6, final project. I have created this. Um, let me erase it. Let me erase it. Okay, now. Um, okay, so it's nice good. And let's see what our mission is again. So now we need to make a system that takes a list of item prices, adds them up, which means that every time we input a price, then they would be added in a new function. I mean, in a new variable, okay? And we will apply the global tax rate, and we will provide the final bill, okay? So now how we can do that? So now let's understand our mission. What is our mission, okay? So let me just write our mission. Number one, make a system that is like a shopping cart machine that adds up the prices of items purchased, applies a tax, and outputs the final bill for the customer, okay? For the customer. So now this is our task. Our task. So now how we can like write this? Let me just explain it step by step. So we need to make a system. We need to make a system right here, which is like a shopping cart machine. I think I have, and it would adds up the prices of items purchased that are purchased, apply a tax, and outputs the final bill of the customer. Okay. So now we have like three things. First, make a function that that calculates the prices. Okay. Number two, let me see. Our number two thing is we need to make another function to, okay, I have did a mistake. Let me see. Okay. Make a function to make the final bill. Okay, like this. And number three, we need to print the results. Okay, so I have like divided this task into multiple steps. Before, whenever we try to use them, we need to divide them into smaller parts so we can understand it more easily. Number one, number two, and number three. So now let's divide into more simpler terms. Let's take, for example, our task number one. So now we have to calculate the prices, right? And they are saying that there may be multiple item prices. So there would be a list where there are like names of the list or names of the items or maybe their prices. So there could be a list, or you can say an array or any type of variable. So we need to use a loop. use a loop, what it would do, like it would, first of all, it would take all the prices one by one, will add them in the end in a new variable, add add one by one, and number three, it will make the, like it would add the one into a new variable. Okay, so now we can calculate it. So now this is our like main task, and how we can perform this task, let me show you. Let me go to my back to my example here, and let me just see how we can do this. Oh my god. So now let's start working on um define a function to apply text. Okay, I think I forgot to mention something. We need to make another function to apply text. Okay. So now how we can like apply the text? Let me just create a new file. Let me just create a new file. Uh, guys, give me a second. I think let me just.